Good morning everyone. So today there's something I want to put on the 10. You will remember that I've put a twin choke Weber carburetor on it about 2 summers ago now, when I was really struggling trying to work out why it wouldn't run properly in the very first place. Anyway, down to it. The Weber carburetor, unlike the original Solex models, the Weber is a manual choke. The Solex used to have an auto choke that was controlled by the water cooling system, so as that warmed up it eased it off. But the Weber has a manual choke, so therefore you've got to somehow figure out how to get a cable to it. So when you want to start it cold, you pull the cable, it enriches the mixture by shutting the flap off and activating the throttle a little bit, which then means that it starts on a rich mixture and it just holds the revs up a bit while it warms up. Basically that's the bottom end of how it works. Now originally the carburetor would have had, on the car it came off of, it would have had a little lever on the floor next to the gear stick, which would have been the manual choke. So you would have pushed the lever along, slotted it in the lock and then start it up, and then once it's warmed up enough you'd put it off and then it would idle nicely at the correct speed. The 10s however never ever had anything but a Solex as far as I'm aware, so consequently, and then this one definitely didn't, consequently there is no handle for the choke, and there is sort of nothing on the car that allows you to fit a choke cable. So yeah, I'm going to take you around to the other side now, because I've got something that hopefully I'm going to be able to make one out of. Before I show you the cable, I believe the original lever on a car that had the Weber carburetor, I think it would have come through somewhere around this area here, as far as I'm aware. So, but obviously my car being originally an 1100 and therefore would have had a Solex carburetor on it with the auto choke, this never would have been fitted to the car. So this is why I've got to go a bit out the box as per usual and figure out a way to get it fitted. So here is our cable. Now you're going to think that is a hell of a long thing. Well, if you think about it, on this car we've got the carburetor here and the dashboard is right at the front here, so consequently it's got to be very, very long. Now the original ones on the 8S, which would have had the Weber carburetor, I believe the lever would have come out somewhere around this area here. It would have come up through the floor. You would have a lever which you would have pushed forward to activate the choke and then back it back off when you don't need it. Obviously, because this was always a 1100 car with a Solex carburetor, it never had that. So therefore, I'm taking the opportunity really to do what I want, as per usual. So my idea is, and the reason why I've got such a long cable, I'd actually quite like to put the choke up here somewhere and basically maybe fit a hanger about here or so, which will then allow me to basically pop it out, use it, push it back in. But I can't really, I don't like the idea of it on the floor at all. I'd rather it being up here where it is, say, like on a later 5, or even in that case actually even locate it somewhere up in that corner there, where it's just sort of more what I'd describe as more practical place for it to be. So yeah, now I did actually have some questions last night after I posted the cable on Instagram, asking actually where I got the cable from, because it is a universal cable, and it does mean that you can cut it down, do whatever the hell you want with it and make it suit whatever you're using it for. Now I actually found it on, in fact, let's have a quick look at it, a bit more detail, shall we? So this end we've got basically like a spring washer, or sorry, anti-rattle washer, and just a classic old nut. And then the other end is basically just a solid cable. It's not even little strands, it is just solid. So it's hopefully that makes it a bit stronger. And then the outer cable is literally just sort of like a long bit of spring, I suppose you could call it. Now this is a universal type of cable, and they actually use these on like racing track and rally cars. And the idea of them is that this part here would be like you'd have a hole drilled in the bodywork with a little label saying isolator, and you have fuel cut off. And the idea is you would mount this in one of those, and then this end here would literally be clamped into like the handle of a battery isolator or a fuel isolator switch, so that in the emergency situation, the folks would just pull the handles, it would cut off the fuel supply and the electric supply and make the vehicle as safe as possible to get the casualty out of it. So yeah, hopefully, theoretically speaking, and fingers crossed, it's going to do the job. So the only bit I'm not entirely sure of at the minute though, in actual fact, is how on earth you attach it. Because this is a linkage here, that little lever there activates the butterfly inside the Venturi, which then shuts off the air supply, makes it ultra rich. And then this other half back here basically activates the throttle and slightly opens it. So when it catches, you've got the extra, you've got the air restriction, then you've got the extra enrichment, which basically means it then holds the revs up a little bit as well to get everything circulating. So yeah, but yeah, I've got a feeling, because I can find a hole, which is this one just up here. I think it's that one. Yeah, I think it's that one. I've got that bit there, but I can't actually see any way you're supposed to actually mount the cable so that that one there can then hold on to it. So I've got a funny feeling, as per usual, that I may well be making some kind of like linkage bracket for it all to work. Now, first idea is, and this isn't even without actually getting dug in deep into it and working it out properly, my first probable idea would be to maybe utilise this nut here and add something on there so it can pivot backwards and forwards on there, and then have the cable coming from that direction. But I don't exactly know the ins and outs of it all yet, so I'm not going to say that's how it's going to be done, because it may well end up being changed, knowing how things usually go. So yeah, but hopefully it's going to enable me to fit a choke arrangement to it, which means I haven't got to hold my foot on the throttle every time it's cold until it's warm enough to hold itself. So yeah, right, first of all, I'm literally just going to try and get the cable fitted in the car itself from front to back, because you've got under trays on these from front to back and underneath, and what I'd like to do is basically just get it routed all the way through. And maybe if I can find a pre-existing grommet somewhere in the bulkhead, even just get that handle popped through, so we've got to start, and then all we've got to do is work out logistics a bit front and a bit back. So yeah, right, I'll hopefully be able to show you some progress very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Hello everyone, so I've got a bit of progress for you. I actually ended up completely scrapping the idea of putting the choke pull in the middle here, because I couldn't find anywhere I was particularly happy with, and because you've got the heater right there, you've got to be careful where you go. So I gave up that idea. But I actually looked at our dashboard and thought, well, hang on a minute, the driver needs it right by them to operate it effectively. So what I've done is, you're supposed to originally have a little vacuum manual push thing here for the washers. This car's never ever had it. It's always had this little switch that I've now put down here. I've mounted it opposite way around to where it was, so now as a driver you pull it up to operate it, which seems rather logical to me. I've then put this in here. I was going to put that in there, but the trouble is because you've got the bit of metal on the back of there to join it all up properly, there's no space because you've got the cool air vent there. So I gave up on that one because it wasn't durable, so that's why that ended up down there instead. So we've got that going down through there, and then through basically the hole in there that is the main wiring loom hole in that bulkhead. The only problem is though, I've not been able to finish this bit today, purely because where we've got this, we're losing probably about 1.5 foot, maybe 2 feet even, between here and the floor. It makes it then fall short of actually even reaching the engine bay. It sort of reaches the front of the gearbox. So what I've got to try and do is work out a way to join another bit of cable on it further back down the car, so I can then finalise things at the back end, however that will be. So I've left that as it is for now. It's a good start, at least I've got the cable in there where I want it. So